This conference will now be recorded.
All right, welcome everyone. It is 4:34 p.m. We will now call the meeting of the Infrastructure Committee to order. Thank you all for being here. Minutes can reflect that myself, Councilor Arnold, and Councilor Best are here. Councilor is not present. We'll continue to try to watch for her on the to the go-to meeting or not there. So welcome everyone. We will this time ask for an approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve the agenda as presented and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Both same sign. Motion passes. Okay, let's move forward with the approval of the minutes from the July 25 meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from July 25th, 2022.
I'll second.
Okay, nothing to be changed there. Okay, motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Motion passes. Project updates. Who's first?
Next slide. The project dashboard report is in the packet. The one I'm excited the most is McGaffey's done. We just need to stripe it. They're striping it as we speak. Of course, we got to do some cleanup and we got some punch list, but essentially the project is over. That's looking at it from Wyoming, looking to the east.
Wow.
But it's got sidewalk, full length from Wyoming all the way to Union.
Nice.
Okay.
And I stand for any questions on the project dashboard.
When do you think you'll be pulling all your signs and everything and it'll just be?
A couple of weeks. Yeah, they're striping right now, but we've rejected some work.
You what?
Rejected some work. So they're gonna have to do some redos.
Fantastic.
And that's it on item number 2.
Right. Any questions, thoughts from committee members? I did note that Councilor Halverson has joined us on the meeting. Councilor Halverson, if you have any questions concerning that project, who's here? Okay, get rid of that. That's okay. She can hear us, so she desires to chime in there. Okay. All right, airport.
Hey, I handed out my spreadsheet with the projects on it, just got it updated. Not a whole lot of change from last month. Probably the most important things are the Alpha and Julia construction and the wind cone projects. We've received the final documents and sent those up to FAA, so we're waiting for final approval and close out on those projects and grants. And the SENT project began on August 15th. They haven't done a whole lot out there yet, but they've got dozers out there and they're pushing around dirt. So you see a little bit of activity if you go out there. The water line upgrade for that project is still underway. I think they're in the final stages of it. There's not so much pipe stacked up out there now, but that's moving along. And that is probably about it. Questions?
Did y'all run into any troubles with the rain?
At home or at the airport?
Well, we're not on the city
Right.
council of Arabella, so.
As I say, it depends on where you ask. No, we really didn't. Came in this morning and kind of went and looked at all the drainage where we see stuff go through when it floods, and there really hadn't been any movement of water anywhere. So it didn't get as much rain as a lot of other places.
Not any reports of damage to buildings or anything?
Not yet.
Okay.
A little bit of minor water leaks, but not any big stuff.
Questions? Okay, all right. Hearing no questions, we will move forward then. We will see there's I know we are anticipating the finalization of from Santa Fe, the 5 million. So we'll start conversations with the mayor on that and see where we can get going on that. We sure don't want to waste time and run past that. So we'll see what we have. Okay. Atkinson.
Okay, this is good news on your packet on page 15 that If you can barely read,
All right.
that's from the New Mexico DOT Highway Commission, which they held on Thursday. Roswell was on the list for an approved project. That's the only one we get this year, but that's $2.6 million for Atkinson from Cherry to College. That will complete the corridor. We've done all the work from McGaffey to Cherry Berenda with this project, so we'll complete a corridor. And better news for the water enterprise is that the DOT will fund the utility work. So excited about that one. Of course, you'll see it again when I get the agreement. Once we get the agreement, so we probably won't start that one till spring. And it'll probably be this fiscal year, next fiscal year to complete it. But I'm super excited about that. I stand for any questions.
Questions or comments? Y'all are making this too easy.
It is easy.
All right. Moving on to the regular items to change order for Mountain View water line.
Next slide. This is the change order for the Mountain View water line. The project is complete. The water line is operational. The picture you see, just when they were building it, it's just off to the side of the road, just to the north of the road to Mountain View, 4 foot deep to the top of pipe. The change order you have before you is for $65,000 before taxes, but you'll note that the big item is the extra spare parts. The project itself overran $27,000, and then the spare parts and the way that's going to be handled. Of course, we're getting reimbursed by RISD for everything that's project related. And then the warehouse will be paying for the extra parts. With the delivery right now in the market, any extra parts, we just buy them and put them in the warehouse. But on this one, we have a 24-inch valve. And I stand for any questions.
Questions, comments? Are you playing Jenga?
I'm trying to get, I was trying to share the screen, but this seems to.
Not Jenga. What was it where you put the Tetris? Tetris.
There you go. Put the
Yes.
shapes.
Go ahead and click on the double arrows on the top of the left.
So I do have a question.
Yes.
I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. Are you saying that the project ran over 27 and we need to vote on that? It's a change order?
Well, the change order, the way our policy is, anything over 60,000 has to go to committee.
Okay,
So,
but this was okay considering.
well, 65,000 plus the tax is going to run around 70,000.
Okay,
But the project itself with the stuff that we constructed that will bill RISD for is 27,000. If you look on my abstract, RISD will reimburse us for 617,000. And then the warehouse will pay the other 40,000, and that completes the project.
okay. And so do I need to make a motion?
Yes, we'll need a motion. The motion would be that we ratify, we recommend ratification of the change order here for $70,108.41.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to consider ratification of change order 1 final for project ITB-22-002 Mountain View Waterline projects in the amount of $70,108.41, which includes GRT of 7.7%.
Full council. 2 full council.
Okay, 2 full councils.
Yes, I second it.
Okay, and you just say consent
No,
or
no,
not?
no,
I
she
just
said
did
2.
hear.
She
You
wants.
want it to go to full council or consent?
No, that's fine.
They might pull it off, so 2 full council.
He likes to stand up and talk.
Oh, does, he does.
Not anymore, but by the time I get to the end, I just
But you,
wave from the back.
no, but you go. So if you're there for 6 hours, you may as well have an opportunity.
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
Okay, we have a motion and we
It'll be pulled off.
have a second. Correct? Counselor Best is second.
Yes, I've already got myself down.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that we send a recommendation to ratify a change order in the amount of $70,108.41 for the Mountain View Waterline project. Any Questions or discussion?
Can I ask a question? I know I came late to the party.
Counselor.
So this is 100% reimbursable by RISD, correct?
Negative, the extra part is not reimbursed,
Okay,
but the rest of it is. And if you look on, do you have the full packet?
yes.
Okay, if you look at the abstract, Counselor, the total project on the financial consideration is 658K. 617K will be reimbursed and the 40K will be out of the warehouse. The extra part, put it at 24-inch valve, go to the warehouse, and that's inventory for the water department.
Okay, so and I had read that the 40,000, and so we're going to be eating 30,000 then? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the participation for the project. That
Participation 40,910.84.
It'll be 100% reimbursed. So
Oh. But what we're passed over on, or we're accepting the 40, we're paying 40,000 for extra parts for our warehouse. I'm okay with that.
Okay, oh yeah, especially a 24-inch valve.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I got it all split up and participating and non-participating.
Mr. Mayor, welcome as well. If you can make the minutes reflect that Councilor Foster and Mayor Jennings did join us. Did you have any questions or thoughts, Mr. Mayor?
no, I think it's going to be great to get that school on.
And it's on already, correct? We've got the water going?
The water's going, they had not hooked up,
Really?
seriously. And then we did contact them, we contacted them a month and a half, 2 months ago, they be ready, said, okay, thank you.
It's ready for them to tie on whenever they're.
All right,
The
fantastic.
sub outs, the meters, everything's there.
First time Fernando goes
As long as they give us a check, we're okay.
We have a motion and we have a second for this to move full council on regular items. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving to next, Cielo Grande Baseball Complex. Next slide.
Okay, so on this project here, Cielo Grande, we did the design. We had $323,000 of allocated money. This is the way it looks right now. We already have an existing water line on Nevada. We have another one on Montana. So basically with the money that we have left, we want to loop along that milling road there and loop it here. And from an engineering point of view and from a future development, let's put in the water line while there's nothing there and spend the rest of the money that we have in our, that allocated. Whether you build a baseball field, whether you build soccer, whatever you build, you need water. And we have that opportunity before we pave over it and everything else. That's my recommendation.
Questions from committee members? Mr. Mayor.
Well, the only thing I was thinking, I know there's what, 300,000, how much it costs, is that what it costs to put water and sewer across there?
Well, all we're gonna do is water because that's all we can afford at that, with the 322,000. Because it's 3,100 feet of water line.
But, you know, the only other thing I would think that you could do is that you could go back to the legislature and ask them to reappropriate that money for baseball fields or for parks. I mean, if you can go back and ask them to do that, I guess you always have a chance of losing it, but that's already appropriated money.
It's already appropriated money for baseball fields. Even if we were gonna build just regular baseball fields, we couldn't really build anything with 323,000. We still gotta run water lines to the baseball, to the water, the grass and everything else. I mean, from my point, at the big picture, put it back on the slide.
Those double arrows.
If you remember, the baseball field is gonna be right here. And then the inclusive park is going right up here. There you go. The baseball field's gonna go right there, so. Other water lines that we need to be building for the future, depending where we're gonna build them, but for right now, the simplest thing is, okay, let's loop the water line. When we loop the water line, it gives us better water quality and higher pressure for the future.
What is the diameter of the line?
8-inch.
8-inch.
This is an 8-inch, not a 14.
Can you scroll to where we can see the top of the page a little better as well?
Come down. That's what we're proposing, roughly 3,000 feet of 8-inch water line.
So does that water line, it's going to go behind the entire facility, soccer facility?
Correct.
On that dirt
You
road?
know that coal milling road that we have? It would go there and then it would go southeast and tie in over
I
here.
see.
Over here by where we have the walking trail tie in.
I think it's a wise decision. Because you're going to use it sooner than later with your park coming in that's already,
Now, typically when you develop, counselor, and you know that, you always put your underground first.
yep, that makes
Again,
sense.
that's my recommendation. That's what I present to committee.
How far is it to a sewer line if you get all that over there somewhere, you're gonna need bathroom sewer?
Yeah, the sewer line, we have a manhole here. And then we're gonna have another manhole here with the inclusive park.
So you got something there where you can put, I mean, you're just gonna need some bathrooms over there somewhere.
Yeah, and we're building a,
Inclusive park bathrooms, there's none on
there's none on there, but we have to have it there for the little water feature. So we will have a sewer manhole there. And with that sewer manhole there in the inclusive park, if we do want to expand and put a bathroom for the inclusive park, we already have the sewer there. So we're doing, tying in with the sewer here and then bringing it over here for inclusive park. We have another manhole over here. So depending what comes in the future, the sewer we can bring across.
You've already got a sewer line across the soccer fields.
Yes, sir. They're fed with their bathrooms over there. And then we have a sewer line, we have a 15-inch sewer line coming in here from 8th Street, and it runs along here and then dead ends here, then it goes pick up the
Big up there where the,
concession stand.
Yeah.
So you already have a sewer line there.
yes.
Now we would have the water line there.
So you have a sewer line,
We already
not
have,
wide, but halfway up.
yeah, we have a sewer line from here to here.
Correct.
You can kind of see it there in the green.
Does it make any sense not to just straighten that line out somewhere? You know, where you have it curved, I mean, I don't know, I'm just looking.
Well, with pressure, it doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
But again, we're just trying to do it so it's the cheapest way to build it. And then with like the milled road, we just get the blade, move the millings over, excavate, backfill, and then blade the millings back on, shoot a little bit more emulsion on it. And got our 4-point paving back.
So if you did your straight shot, you'd have to go through the soccer fields.
No.
Well, depending
You'd
on
have
what the
to-
straight shot is.
Well, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And then remember here, we got drainage in the future.
right.
So then you have to go way deeper there.
Well, and to me, it makes sense to cover more country with it, then you can put in more things that people
Well,
want.
here's the other thing is too, we don't know what's going to go here.
Mhm.
We don't know if we're going to cut for sewer. We don't know if we're going to cut for drainage.
But we know the road's going to
Fill for
stay.
baseball fields or anything else. But yes, man, the roads.
We know the road's going to stay. Makes sense.
And I do not want to put words in another counselor's mouth by any means, but I did make a phone call just because Counselor Corn has been in the legislature for, in the past, and he understands. So I asked him, I said, what came back on the baseball fields was, quite different than maybe a lot of us thought was going to come back as far as the design and everything. And I said, what do you look at? Do you spend the money and get something in there that could be used for that baseball complex or for other things? Or do you send it back to the legislators? And he said, of course, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but of course, you want to try to utilize the money in such a way as the legislators desired for it to be funded. So this is a way to try to stay within that.
When does it expire?
Next year. No, 24.
Thank you.
Let me just say something, and I'm looking into my crystal ball pretty hard right now. Really hard. New Knott Park, not the baseball field, but the park, is a detention pond.
Right.
New Knott minor and major fields are going to become detention ponds when all the development in the north half of OMA develops and those 800 homes are filled. Now you're taking 600 acres, roughly 300 acres, roughly, that's all dirt. Once you build roads and rooftops and everything else, the detention gets, needs are bigger. I feel that it's, and I'm having a study done, I have that the New Knott Park where we have the drop, eventually we're gonna have to take the minor leagues and major leagues away from New Knott to be the detention pond. Or we can keep them there, but you have to have a detention facility because if that overflows, then you have all this neighborhood that's gonna get flooded. And I'm looking at that's my job, to look at the big picture, severe case. So I think once we get everything going over there, whatever we do in the old municipal airport, we need to start thinking of that as a drainage. And probably in the next 5 to 10 years, we need to start thinking about moving New Knott. And even if it's only 4 fields, we just move it somewhere over here. We've got the water, we've got the sewer, we can get, well, the power's over here. We have the transformers over here for the concession stand. But again, big picture, severe circumstance.
Well, and then, but then you've complicated the problem too, because all the 800 homes over there don't have any room to park. So if you're gonna take out New Knott and all that other stuff.
Well,
There'll still be a park, but still be a park.
Well, but that's not necessarily the case because the gentleman publicly stated that he'd give us as much land as we want for parks in there, that he would, but that he's not going to maintain parks for the city of Roswell, which would not be expected. But he said on multiple occasions, that he is more than willing to work with the city on that. So we got to,
That is correct.
remember that.
And New Knott right now is a park. But if you walk in there, I don't know if you walked in there, Mayor, there's a drop in it right there.
Oh, yeah.
But there's also, the other thing is that also as a park, now if we have other development over here that's going on, and it's gonna cause us to lose the park, there is some kind of recourse that should have happened for the city if that case.
Well, and there's also some discussions, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Nahar, on some green space behind the Elks Club and moving parallel with those properties as well, that will also have retention.
And the detention pond that we've envisioned, Kevin Mabry and I have envisioned, is that the detention pond would also be a walking trail.
Correct. Yeah.
And a landscape area.
So there is discussions of green space taking place.
When we started talking Cielo Grande baseball fields, we weren't talking the Oaks. And I just see with all the climate change and everything else, again, I'm being very conservative. I'd rather be conservative, especially when it comes to flooding and detention ponds. Again, that's,
Well, yeah, but I mean, the development already paid.
well, they're gonna have theirs. They're gonna have theirs. But see, we also have the OMA that is coming in from the west. From 19th South to College, that's city park. We're gonna be contributing to that detention pond as well. Theirs will be the first leapfrog. Then the second leapfrog will be the Newmont field that we have, but the storm drain's already there. Unless we spend more millions of dollars to expand it, we're limited by the inlet control of what that drop inlet that's there. So to limit that inlet control, you have to make the detention space bigger so it can handle it and slowly drain. Otherwise, then you're saying, okay, let's go down let's go down Union, let's go down wherever that follows, and let's take that 36-inch drain and make it a 48, make it 50. The other thing that we have to do with that, how shallow are we that now the bigger pipe that we have, we're going to be coming up to the pavement or lose our depth of cover. So it's just, I mean, the simplest solution is you have inlet control with one drop inlet. So you have to control it by making a bigger detention area. So you can have the time concentration, the time to.
But almost all the one drop inlets around here fill up, and so they don't even drop.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah, they do. I mean, they do. You're absolutely right, because May 31st, 2021, Labor Day weekend, 2021, we went to and I can share you the pictures. If you go to the New Knott Park, it was underwater for a week.
Oh, yeah, all that.
All that was underwater and going up. Again, when it's raining, I go take rides and just try to formulate and check everything out. But I mean, I'm being very cautious, Mayor. And that's why I'm trying to do that right now. And again, big picture looking years ahead.
And sort of bringing the conversation back around to what's on the abstract here with putting the water line in, it fits within the scope of
The legislative grant.
legislative desires here. So that's why I would be in favor of moving forward, but I sure want everyone the opportunity to speak. If you have any other questions or discussion on that, Councilor Foster, did you have any thoughts or anything you wanted to add?
I mean, I understand it falls under the scope of what they are looking at. I just think, and of course, we're talking about a PVC water line that we're not talking about, and creating loops is always a good thing. So there's positives there. The other problem I have is I hate building infrastructure for us to maintain that we don't have an exact use for. That it's just philosophically, it's one of the reasons we've had arguments about what's going on at the base. But completing a loop and helping flow, I understand the hydrology of that, I'm good with. So I can balance out creating more infrastructure because of helping in the hydrology and helping the flow.
The other thing that we're thinking is that we have to replace that 36-inch water line on Montana from 19th to 8th Street.
So this will
So
increase.
this will help feed it when we shut down the 36. Now we've looped the two systems. So it helps Lorenzo with his maintenance, operation, maintenance, water quality. And, you know, believe me, I've thought about this over a couple of beers here and there, and this just makes the best thing.
It makes sense.
If you'd gone back there, you'd have talked about storage too.
I did think about the sewer line, but I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money.
Place to go.
I was hoping to do sewer as well, but for the price of plastic right now, 3,000 feet is about all I can build a water line.
You know, the only thing I can say is I think you can go back, you've got another year on this timeline wise. You could go back and if they need more baseball fields or something, you could go back somewhere and ask them to either reuse it to improve the baseball park. And you can go back and ask the legislature because it's not going away yet. You still have a whole other year, 24th year goes away.
You know, I hear what you're saying, Mayor, and we did the same thing with Inclusive Park. We just got another $850,000. And we didn't ask to reallocate, we just asked for another application and they gave it to us. And the Inclusive Park, in fact, the agreement, I need to get it over so you can sign it. And now we can finish funding what we had the shortfall, and we can finish building phase 2.
Can you guarantee that it'll come back out of legislative times 6? Times 6? So we send it, yeah. So they'll add to it. What I'm saying is if we give it back to legislative, can you promise it'll come back out or they will just suck it up in their vortex?
No, I can't promise it.
Okay, just want to make
Well,
sure.
I mean, but, you know, when I.
Because I'm not,
I promise I can't get spent on what we told them we'd do it for either, so what the.
what I'm saying is, I'm not a fan of giving money back when we could utilize it to move forward with what the plan was. And this is, like you said, Barry, loops are not bad. Tons of loops at the ranch, because if something shuts down, you can loop around and get back around the other way to get it done.
Because, I mean, in question of the funds, if they're not expended by expiration date, then either one, we have to seek reauthorization of that same amount, or they revert back to the state.
Correct.
But I believe, I've never seen a bill where you reauthorize, you ask for reauthorization for a balance, and then they add money to it. So just wanted to share that.
You know, you can add stuff to it. If you do a reauthorization, you don't add money to that project there. You do it in another bill, so you get another extension of time to it. I mean, that should, the process how it works.
Well, and that's what I heard from the exclusive part, right? That's what you did with the exclusive part.
Let me give Mayor Jennings, I think at this point, we're only in committee settings. So if we send this to full council, we can have this conversation on a broader level to see what full council would like to do on moving forward. That's just my thoughts.
Well, you know, I wasn't part of this council, but I didn't go to the legislature and get this much money and then not build baseball. I mean, that's just my thing. You guys do whatever you want to yourselves, but I'm just saying, if you went to the legislature and said it was for baseball field and you don't end up building a baseball field, then you did spend a lot of money on planning. But I don't know what, that's fine with me to go that way. I just, you know, I try to.
Well,
But it is part of the baseball field?
sure. Mr. Mayor, where I stand is, I can't say for sure because I cannot remember. I don't believe I was on council at the time when, what legislative year did this money get?
It was Caleb's year.
Well, Caleb was here for several years. So no. How long ago was it?
It was Caleb and Steve.
2 years ago.
Normally, the appropriations are for about a 4-year window.
Yeah. So I wasn't on the council the year that went through legislative process. However, my concern was, you know, how do legislators feel about money coming back that they could have used somewhere else, that could have been utilized? And so that's why I had concerns or reservations of just voting no and just letting the money go back, or voting no and hoping that there could be a reallocation. So I think for the sake of getting it to full council, let's take the ability of moving, this is my opinion, moving it to full council and letting full council.
But isn't this part of the baseball field? This is in preparation to build the baseball fields. It is a ground level to start the baseball fields. This is in the allocated.
This is part of the utility planning
Yeah.
that's in the plan that was designed.
Okay. So it was in the design to get this done this way. So this is the very beginning of the actual shovel dirt. Whereas the rest of it was the plans.
What happens if we never build a baseball field?
Right. And that was what
What do we do with that money? Because I said they awarded us 850. We're looking at spending 320.
the rest is already gone
This is all we have left over.
Oh, this is all we have left. Okay, what was the rest spent on?
on the plan.
On the-
If you look on page 26 of your packet, I'll give you a refresh your memory on the,
That's-
Yeah.
Okay, all right, very good.
that's why I'm saying, you know, 300, I hate to give money back. And infrastructure, underground
Yeah,
infrastructure.
and if you, and I don't mean to be rude, but if you don't do the baseball fields, you still need water lines.
Yeah.
You need to, like he says, water the fields, even if they're soccer fields or lacrosse fields,
Well-
whatever the case may be.
I'm always for.
Even if it's houses coming in.
Let's see who would think anybody Barry will remember, maybe Counselor Best, years ago, there was even a consideration of an amphitheater out there. So
The
the
master plan for it, one of the
That's
master.
correct, right. So regardless of what we place there, whether it be baseball fields or, so it is within the master plan or within the plan that was built up for the baseball fields. However, if that does not come to fruition, there's always the ability.
And there's no penalty.
No,
Okay, all right.
And you
Yeah.
need water to wash your hands if you have a sewer line in bathrooms.
No, I'm always in support of infrastructure. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I'm just looking at where the connection of do we or don't we with
And
the,
if you look at page 26, I mean, any of those smaller baseball field complexes, that's where they got to get the water.
Yeah, and if you're going to have to move your new knob, that's more than likely the places you're going to move them.
My gut says I probably won't be here, but
you always say that. I'm gonna be
council,
here forever.
I hope so. Council will have to come up with the decision. And if you remember the planning, those of you around, the plan was that we were going to move Newnopp and Lions Hondo over here anyway.
Together.
They were going to be the competition fields. And the existing fields can still be the practice fields. They can still be a park. But when
When it rains,
2 times a year that we get flooded,
there'll be a detention pond.
we're saving the neighborhood downstream.
Fish in it, fish it.
I mean, look at it's funny, we're talking about drainage this weekend. You've all seen what happened up there in the hills and then even over here, US 70 and 380.
absolutely.
Hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
The beach still hadn't here.
It's come 4 hours away.
But
Wow. Still has not peaked.
Almost to the bottom of the bridge on.
Bob Crosby.
That's unbelievable to even, I can't even picture that. But, well, let's, for time's sake, let's allow full council the opportunity to discuss these things, make
Are you
determinations.
wanting to move it forward without a recommendation?
Well, it's up to y'all. If you want to make a recommendation, we certainly can.
The question,
Entertain a
we
motion.
have 2 years for this money.
I believe so. I'll have to double check that. And I'll have that on my abstract for council.
And that's the thing, if we had a crystal ball that actually worked, we'd know what plastic prices would go down or up.
Yeah,
I don't expect much of anything to
go
go
down. If it does, it'll be before
So,
voting and then it'll go back up just as fast.
all right, I will.
I'd like to make a motion to consider water line construction to be funded by the legislative grant for the baseball fields at Cielo Grande Sports Complex, which has $3,023, and obligated funds to go. Christina, do you choose to do without recommendation? Or we can vote on it?
As far as the recommendation, I can't actually say that I would recommend it or not. Actually, you know what? I would because I'm always for infrastructure.
Okay.
So, but,
Full council.
and then move forward. Okay, I'll second.
For clarity, because there was a stop in the middle of the motion.
Yeah, sorry.
Your motion is to send the full council with recommendation to approve the funding in the amount of $323,205 of unobligated funding from the legislative grant for the water lines at Cielo Grande. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Rossville Industrial Park Detention Pond.
Okay, what you have before you, committee, is that I want to proceed. I don't know how many of you know that this is all the Roswell Industrial Park. Mike, you're familiar with this, right?
Been designed and redesigned a bunch of times.
Designed, redesigned, and the city owns it, and developers really haven't done nothing to it. But if you go back to this one here, which is the next slide, where it says Brasher, the 2000 drainage, the detention pond was supposed to be right here, which is now Admiral Beverage. Okay? So at that time, the city owned it. I don't know what happened. All I can do is go forward. So we have an existing ditch coming off of Jaffa come in here to the detention pond the flood commission maintains. It goes to one little structure right here. And the same philosophy that we just talked about, with New Nop only having one drop inlet, that's the same, I mean, we have one pipe here. So all that water collects here, runs down here and goes this way. So we've had requests and there was actually a study done to make Brasher wider, 4-lane, absolutely. And then there's a storm drain system here on the west side of Brasher that was built with no outfall. So they just covered it back up. So
Say that again.
Yeah.
It's sitting there waiting to be used.
just like Boo Boo Lake, I don't know, were you around for Boo Boo Lake? Twice.
I'm not as old as Mayor Jenny.
Okay, twice there's been storm drain system put in with no outfall. When you build storm drain, you start at the bottom and work up. So.
When they redid West Brasher though, they went ahead, is it a 60 inch line?
Well, the 60-inch line, and if you go back to the next slide. Go forward to the next slide. This is Brasher. Okay, here's the cemetery. Here's Admiral Beverage. Here's that. So what I'm proposing is that we're gonna move this drainage basically over here. Now go back forward, backwards. So it'll be here. So what I'm proposing and asking committee to recommend to move the council is let me do a replat of the Roswell Industrial Park here, and where this blue line is would now be the property lines. And that would be the existing, make this detention pond that much bigger, so we can pick up Brasher and then Brasher proper here and drop it down here or drop it down here, but then I would have that much more detention for the future. The other thing is too, this ties in with our RCIP request.
Yes.
That we've asked 400,000 for Brasher. Well, these are
This shows that we're putting
we're already
forward.
putting forward.
So, but my question is up there on Tradeway Drive, will that still be a drive?
Yeah, there'll be a drive. If not, it'll be like a 30, 40-foot alley to have access that they would need.
What will be an alley?
Well, they've got an alley here.
Correct.
But we see FedEx over here. I don't know if you were around, but
I was around with, alley used to go all straight
Yeah,
through.
and then FedEx.
We cut that because they needed a larger property, but my concern is if we don't have Tradeway still marked as a potential, then what are we going to do with those two properties that are right there? Because there's a church.
Well, there's a.
And then there's the janitorial, but you're saying that still,
Yeah, you're talking right here.
Yes, so will this property still have access from here?
I can leave Treadway Drive on the
Or are
property.
we going to have to reconfigure for this to be one piece of property for entrance from here? Because this is janitorial, correct?
Correct.
And this is the church. I think it's a church, or it used to be or
It
something.
is a church.
And I'm not sure how they ever got there to start with, but that was before me. But,
And then what I'm planning over here, Industrial Drive, is go ahead and put a cul-de-sac over here.
okay, yeah, I just don't want to have vacant land that's in there that we can't.
No, we're not gonna have any landlocked land.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
When you look at all this stuff on the existing detention pond, on that existing pond where all this stuff comes and they put the ditch all the way across down here to come here, both these pipes that go under the road go uphill.
That is correct.
So that means about half the water goes through there. There's 224s, so you only got really about 124 goes across it. There's nowhere for this water to go down here. Now, if you can make a deal with the Fair Board to come across here from this existing pond, whatever you put in there comes and goes down this street, and that takes it to the big pond.
And keep it
And that's
from
the way
going
the
up.
drainage, that's the way the drainage is going. We need to get an access across that from the existing pond. I mean, chances of them using that racetrack again are slow, but you can go right along the edge of that. I think that property belongs to the Fair Board. And you can get, now, I don't know if you can do it in a ditch or if you can do it in a pipe.
They do it.
To drain that, to get it.
And I agree with you completely that this would be, again, since we're in the desert, we have to have all our little leapfrogging and detention ponds. So we would have another one here. And I don't know if we can get it all the way to go north, but then we would just slowly,
But all I can tell you is that all this stuff in front of the jail and everything else, that road does not drain.
that is correct.
And it doesn't drain going down that way. It comes out and runs across the road. And so there is no place for that water to go.
So something needs to
It
happen.
has to, what it does, it comes down here, it comes across here and goes into the,
If you look at your layout from 2000,
so
Brasher was to drain and go to the north branch of the Sound Spring River. Again, this study was done in 2000, was a Chavez County Flood Commission and City of Roswell study. And there it is right there. Go, scroll up. Let me get to the bottom over here.
Right, but since they built that,
So here's,
they sold it to a city.
there's the jail now.
Can
There's
this,
supposed to be some sort of system. Take it and drain it over here. Because they couldn't make it.
Well, it's not working.
Well, yeah, because
it doesn't work.
it doesn't work. None
Why
of,
would you- So why would you try to take it that way? It sounds like what you're proposing is a natural flow in the other direction to a line that's already there. You said it's what, 64 inch?
I believe.
The blue one you said over on the,
Yeah, but we're still gonna have a storm drain system for Bradford. It's gonna have to come here and then instead of dumping here, it's gonna dump over here. And again, this is what the 2000 study did, and they looked at all the topography. The natural course is to come this way, whether it's.
so it'd be wise to choose the natural course instead of fighting your way through the fairgrounds, which I'm sure they've got plans for that.
Well, the thing is, I still think that we'll probably need another pond to leapfrog it, so you don't overload and you can put a smaller system.
Well, all this road from in front of the jail, that road that goes in front of the jail is designed to hold the water down from that to that pond, the pond, the big pond way down there on Atkins.
That we're looking to even
That's
make
where
longer.
that, because it goes in from both sides of that.
And I've seen it overflow maybe 3 times since it's been there. So it does overflow. And then where does it go from there?
From what?
From the one on Atkinson and McGaffey, the great big pond.
Okay, so we have a pipe here that goes down to whom?
Yeah.
And then it works its way to the river by the railroad tracks by our street department.
But 3 times I've seen that big detention pond overflow and flood out that house they tore down that was done in 1893 and the sheriff's posse. All that country over there gets flooded out and
That
the,
detention pond is not complete.
No, we're gonna have to cut more out of it.
so why are you putting, so in my mind, which probably is a little slow, why would you force all the water if it's not a natural flow on North Atkinson heading that way when you were able to go the natural flow down into that other pipeline that you're working on now?
We're all asking questions, but if we get to legislative money, those questions will be answered by the consultants that will do the study and see what's the most feasible. Well, back up the picture.
Go back to 7, please.
So all I'm asking now is, before we do the study, I mean, there's some theories there, but we still got to drain Brasher. And we still gotta-
Regardless of what happens with legislative money, we've got to get this existing detention pond
And
larger.
this-
We can no longer do that where Admiral is, whereas as you're saying, the plan was to dip into there. Now that that's not possible, we have to make this one larger. And if we're going to, through the ICIP process, to hope to get anything from the state, I've been made very aware through several times going up there that, what are we going to put into this? What are we going to be proactive? And this is the perfect way to do it. And I hate it. It makes me sick to look and see that we're losing all of that. But the industrial park has not done what, and I don't know when that was that done in the 90s?
I think it was done in the 70s.
70s. So it has not come to what, and now we've come to a place to where our concentration is in other areas. And we've got plenty of property around Roswell to put folks, if they want to come. So it just looks like a good place to move it.
All this property here, all this on from Southeast Main, all this stuff down here, all this property here can't get across this road no matter what.
Right.
And it's all this floods, Allen Roofing, all that stuff floods, all the stuff down here floods because it can't get across that road. And so if you come across here, at least we're getting the water out of this part of the drainage, because this stuff here, until they fix Southeast Main, nothing here flows.
Mr. Mayor, are you in agreement with me that our first step is to increase the expansion of this existing detention pond?
Yeah, all I'm saying is that give it away for some of it to move. Because you're just putting it in this thing and it doesn't have any place to go.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to leapfrog it again to another pond.
If you come over here, if you can get this from them and dig a big pond, more power to you. But all I'm saying is if we get it over here, at least it goes to the existing pond down there on,
But
the pond down there on Atkinson. And I don't think I've ever seen that over.
well, here's my question though, is the proposal that we don't expand this pond and we start concentrating on what you're looking at, or expand this pond and continue conversations of moving towards this?
I'm just saying, don't fill this pond up just so it's just full of water and stays there. You gotta have something for it to go somewhere. It doesn't go anywhere here.
Yes, it's not a retention pond, but
But I mean, it doesn't go any, when it comes out here to Southeast Main, and it comes out right over here, there's not even a bar ditch that'll hold 124 going across that, down that ditch. Down here, you can't, it won't even hold 124-inch pipe going down this ditch, because it goes down here, then it comes out of the ditch. And you've got lines on this side, so you can't put another ditch there.
well, my gut feeling is that if we get the money and we look at the detention ponds and the storm drainage, we're gonna be talking to the county and to the flood commission about putting a storm drain on Bratcher to the east, very similar to this plan right here. It'll be the- But those,
Let's just do like Herod and build some aqua, what do you call them, the bridges that he built, aquifers.
Unless you're gonna buy Lapid's farm, you're not gonna get anything here unless you're gonna buy their farm, because that whole thing's in a big circle.
Okay.
And the only place with the detention center, you can come down here and you can find, that's all county property there.
yeah, that's all county property.
County property's right up here.
Did you have something?
Yeah, and there, this is county right here, but this is a fair.
That's why I say if you come across here.
We could have a detention pond right here.
I mean,
My question, and my only question, well, it's not my only question, but one of my problems is, I hate taking potential money. And I know we set it up in the 70s and we got a church, which I don't understand how it meets industrial, but we have it. But we also have all this land right here, the cemetery. That's, I mean, there's plenty of land on the other side for development for the cemetery, but there's all this land. So I'm wondering why this is potential development, which this is not potential development. So,
you have to go back into history on the cemetery. The cemetery had that whole section there, and it was a gift from the state for a cemetery for all of it. The part that we're doing down here in economic development, I don't know that that's even right or not. I mean, land was given to the city from the state, from the women's club, and that was for a cemetery. That, the whole section was given to them for a cemetery.
The other thing is, Counselor Foster, in the 70s, I was a sexton for the cemetery in Carlsbad. And very similar, we thought we had plenty of room.
Mhm.
They're running out of room now.
Mhm.
I,
Funeral down there is packed.
well, and I understand that, but I just hate, like Councilor Perry said, we don't want to landlock any of this.
no, we won't land like any of
There's a
those.
lot of development, potential development that all of this falls under the, what's it called? Any development in this area is in the opportunity zone.
You know, and you guys may understand over there on Braxton Road, what you're looking at over there, on Braxton Road, and over there on South Main, that's prime mountain lion territory, and we've had a number of mountain lions killed on that territory, right over there, all in there, and that's all prime mountain lion territory that you shouldn't be tearing up. I mean, they just have to go look, that they shot.
Say that again, I'm not-
Braxton Road, and they run over one.
So say that again, I'm not understanding. What were you saying about mountain? Where?
On Brasher Road,
Braxton Road and
South Brasher Road.
Yeah. Went down my.
The other thing is, I don't know if you guys ever driven, and ladies driven Brasher and South Main after a good rain, not even a 100-year rain.
Well, I know, we've got to,
We need
to fix that drainage. We've got to get it going.
So,
But my whole thinking is, you know,
well, we have also, or, Mike, I hate to pull you into the conversation, but you're here.
You're here.
From an EDC standpoint, taking land out of the opportunity zone, how do you feel with other lands that we got this?
We have a size walkthrough zones and sadly, we haven't used any of them for that function. There's nothing. But we have a sizable OZ already.
Yeah.
Who's the map? You know, and we do have other industrial areas in the city that we use. So, and everything will be impacted.
Mr. Mayor, let me ask you one more thing here.
Yeah.
For you, are you just playing?
Move numbers so I can throw things
The consideration today is to send recommendation to move forward with the replat of the industrial park subdivision owned by the city of Rossville for use and expansion of drainage detention pond. You still have to go through the process of
Yes.
determining how much it's going to cost to put this in. So,
Well, yeah, because this is just to replat the property. So it's going to be a survey, about $10,000. The survey is easy, but the thing is, you have to start setting up all your dominoes. And this is step number one.
My question is, are we going to do a realization of how much it's costing us to pull potential industrial land and turning it into a detention pond? So what's our loss there?
Depends on your cost of land for the day.
Exactly.
The loss that you have is that, okay, you want to compare it. How much is it going to cost you to continue to carry the water to the east along the storm drain? And the storm drain system costs about the same as the road. So here you are with an opportunity to keep your road costs and your storm drain costs down. The longer you take it, or the further you take it, it costs money to move water by gravity. And so
Eventually, we're going to have to build that road. Eventually, we're going to have to build that storm drain.
so where are you going to
Put
drain
it
it off?
off.
And from what I
It's not
understand,
fixing it. It's just saying that we're putting it off and we're taking realization of the property of how many acres that is, that whatever they, builds industrial property costs to nothing.
I mean, just for
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Council Commissioner. Just for, so everybody can hear it, the difference between a retention and a detention.
A retention pond, you hold the water for it to evaporate. A detention pond, you detain it for some amount of time. Typically, you're looking for 96 hours, and that's currently the spec that the city of Roswell has in our 2005 ordinance.
So we're not looking at making this a place for retaining water. This is from.
What I'm trying to do here is drain the intersection of Main and Brasher, South Main and Brasher, drain a future 4-lane of Brasher, and get it off the streets so the citizens don't get flooded, so we're not closing the road. And we're also not flooding.
and you already have that's closed off there. It's already built, it's already there, it's ready for your drain.
I just look at it as
Am
an
I correct?
opportunity. Correct. I'm just looking at this as an opportunity. I understand economic development, but economic development, it's going to, how much is it going to cost for the city of Roswell as a developer? Put in the storm drain,
Yep.
put in the sewer line, put in the water line, pay for the other utilities, pave curb and gutter for a development. That's why it hasn't sold.
Mhm.
I did costs for that for 3 different managers.
That makes sense.
And nobody wanted to pay the upfront cost. So why should the city be a developer?
We had looked at one time, FedEx had actually wanted to come on the corner of Industrial Drive and Brasher and Tradeway. They wanted that property there and reassess. But they made the choice to skip over that and move over so that they did not have to deal with
Exactly.
paving Industrial Drive.
So
Am I correct? Is that?
that is
I
correct.
remember.
That is correct. So the cost of developing it so we can sell it, and Mike is here.
Or I may be wrong, that may have been Frito-Lay because they chose to go across the road.
Well, Frito-Lay came in afterward, but FedEx, the conversations,
Somebody was going in right there.
they actually wanted to go where Admiral Beverage was going to go. That was
I just remember someone wanted there on Industrial and they changed their location just because the amount it was going to cost them.
Realistically, we better change the definition of what's industrial development. I mean, a church and a janitorial supply place is not industrial development.
I think the church was an industrial business first and then that business collapsed.
I don't
and the
remember.
church just.
I don't know. I didn't pay close attention to Brasher back then.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the opportunity that I present. You're the council. You decide.
Committee members, move this to full council for discussion and consideration.
Make a motion to consider moving forward with a replat of the industrial park subdivision owned by the city of Roswell for use and expansion of drainage detention pond. Second.
We have a motion and a second that we send to full council the consideration of replatting of the industrial park subdivision for drainage detention pond expansion. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The Country Club Reservoir.
Okay, what you have before you is to pass a resolution to support a water trust board application for $8 million for the reservoirs, rehab of the reservoirs. There was some training on Friday after this packet went out. I don't believe, and Juan, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we'll be able to, our application will get approved, but regardless, we want to have the resolution and support in case we can make it.
Just a couple of points with Louis with regards to the training. The water trust were met and they did amend some of their policies. However, one of the policies that we were hoping they would amend was the requirement that you have to expend an existing water trust board grant, which we do have for the Edgewood water line. And it has to be spent by about 70%. And we're not there by September 23rd. And so that we would qualify for another application with the water trust board. So because of that requirement, we may not qualify. However, there may be, there is a waiver opportunity there. There's no guarantees because a lot of municipalities, I believe they submitted over $100 million in requests. And there's around, of course, there's always more requests than there is money. In addition, obviously, they also will look at, there's additional information that needs to be submitted for the water trust board application for this project and the following project. I think the biggest hurdle will be, as Louis mentioned, is going to be that requirement of having met that expenditure amount.
How far are we from meeting that expenditure amount of 70?
Probably a month away once we can start Edgewood, but I can't start Edgewood until I finish Atkinson. It's just, this timing just hit us. The other thing is too, I want to elaborate on what Juan said. They're also looking for projects that are shovel ready or are design projects, not both. And I say that over the next agenda item. I think the mayor wants to say something.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
You know, on this stuff, if you can show, the legislature is going to be very open to the fact that if you miss it by a month or 2 months, we'll already be, we will have already got.
Got to that process by the time.
Passed and done it. So it's okay. And I think as long as you can show that we're, especially if you're serving under served areas, if you can show you're serving, less economic areas, they'll go out of their way to help you get through that. And you can, on these water tanks for such a huge project, that's the storage facilities. We have better storage than almost every city in New Mexico. So this is really a good opportunity to get that and go forward with it. And as long as you can show that we were delayed by COVID, which you can show that easily because of the cost of all the pipes, and when you couldn't get valves and you can't get plastic, everybody's in the same boat. And so they'll overlook that if you have a good project.
So your recommendation is to move forward with the resolution.
Yeah, I would. I think that's the most important thing we got going.
Yeah. All right. Any other discussion?
The only thing on the picture, just so you can, I don't know if you guys have driven up there, and ladies, it's 230 feet diameter inside those tanks, and it's 25 feet of storage space and then a 2-foot cap. So they're 27 feet tall by about 240 feet wide on the outside.
How much cubic?
230 feet on the inside?
7.5 million gallons each.
That's just incredible. Well,
8 million gallons.
You get to the point of rehabbing that I missed when there was the rehab. I don't remember this tank down where it was, but
Yeah, sure.
Stacy Hunter was telling me about walking inside and seeing just how amazing that is. So, be crazy. All right, any other discussion or questions? I'll entertain a motion.
So I'll make a motion to consider resolution 22-XX in support of a water trust board application to rehabilitate the Country Club water reservoirs.
Second.
For consent or regular agenda.
I'll go for consent.
Yeah.
All right. We have a motion. We have a second that we send the resolution for filing the application for financial assistance from the New Mexico Water Trust Board as detailed on consent. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, the Hobson Drainage Project, please.
Okay, the same thing. It's a water trust board. Again, I look at you have it with you. The Hobson was also part of the study that was done in 2000. And you can see, as you can see, this is the Roswell Air Center. This is the West Perimeter Road. The East Perimeter Road. We're talking Hobson all the way down, which is 3.25 miles. And
What's the rectangle up there?
okay, so what you have here, another detention pond,
Okay.
a levee coming in from the rock relief route, detention pond, storm drain system coming down here, tied into the ditch here. See this pond, you see this little triangle here?
It's a pond.
That's the pond. Let me have the picture before it. Okay, this is Memorial Weekend. That's the intersection of Earl Cummins West and West Hobson Road. And then this is that detention pond, the little triangle. I wish Councilor Moore was here because that's just on the east side of her street. But it took out the railroad tracks. Go back to this one. So based on the training, we might just amend it so we can get truer cost. You just amend this, or just design only, so we could at least look at all the hydraulics, look at all the costs. It's a $9 million project, and all I did was amend the real estate cost, didn't amend the other costs. So I think it behooves us to move forward. Either regardless, I still need the resolution to proceed forward for my application. And I stand for questions.
Everybody understand? Questions, comments? Mr. Mayor?
All that land over there on East Charleston Road, all those pecans over there were flooded so bad in that storm. And the water that went across there, that they were worried about losing the trees. And all that stuff comes back down and it drains down across Cottonwood Lane. And then it turns right and goes under the road there. All that land under it. And that stuff was full for about.
Yeah, all this was flooded.
Cases, orchards, all that stuff. You know, by Loprino, that road that goes in front of Loprino and all those trees on the north side of the road, all those, that whole area was just absolutely flooded. And so I don't know, when you get it across from Hobson Road,
And from it.
you know, we still need to get it further towards the river. And Hobson might be a place where you can go, but to run more of it down.
Well, that's why I'd rather amend my application for design.
Yeah.
So we can have.
Makes a lot of sense to us.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 22-YY in support of a water trust board application for Hobson Road flood prevention measures to go to consent.
Nice. Second.
A motion and a second that the resolution before us, as presented on page 37 in the draft, go to the full council for recommendation on the consent agenda. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. I have one question. What's the difference between resolution 22-YY and XX?
Those are two different resolutions. That lady over there will give me numbers when it makes it to council. I didn't want to do the XX.
I'm just kidding. I think it's fun. So enjoy your job, right?
I do enjoy my job.
All right, other business, someone.
You have the department reports is the next item. If you have any questions, committee, on the department reports, that's in the packet.
I had no questions. Any questions, comments? While we're here, just real quickly, I did try to keep my eye as closely, and I know that Councilor Foster had driven down there, and I know Councilor Halverson had been keeping her eyes on as well, Holly Loop. Of course, the rains didn't get to the place of, I don't think we ever had to turn on the pump. So
No, it was a nice, steady, slow rain.
the kind we want.
Kind we want.
But I just wanted to say I appreciate the city's efforts of just being proactive until we can get that problem fixed. I spoke with some of the citizens that live out there, and they were very appreciative. And so one lady told me she was sleeping a lot better just knowing.
And I don't know if you noticed, streets department took out 3 pallets of sandbags. And everybody had their garages and everything lined with sandbags.
One question, that manhole cover that night, they just couldn't get it. Was that because of the suction, or so it is, you go back out there to?
I think just the water sitting on top, creating a suction on the manhole so itself. It doesn't drain into the manhole. The storm drains completely separate. You don't have a combined system. So I believe
But we were able to get that to where it is able to be opened. Okay. Okay.
And the pipe's on order. We're just waiting on the pipe.
Waiting on the pipe. Fantastic. Any other thoughts before we go to public comment? All right. Do we have any public in the room for public participation? Do we have anyone online that would desire to speak to the committee at this time? You are recognized with unmute. Is that mute all, or have we pressed the unmute all? There you go. All right. It looks like Ms. Kane Dorhofer is unmuted. Rita, you are recognized.
Thank you. I'm Rita Kane Dorhofer from Very Narrow Unstriped Chicago Cubs Mailbox, Mark Road. I just want this committee and all the other committees to be aware of trash. I'm going to talk trash. I don't know if you have seen, we have many, many new restaurants, and pretty soon we're going to have Kevin's houses on Country Club. This will generate trash. Do we have the people? No. Do we have the equipment? No. I think we need to start planning for all of this extra trash. If people don't know that they do have people working on Saturday, it's a special section that you sign up and you work on Saturday to take care of the trash. And this is an ongoing problem. You leave trash too long and what happens? All of the homeless people will find out where the best trash is. Whataburger's a pretty good place for trash, and now probably Texas Roadhouse. So we need to start thinking about all of these new businesses and houses coming in. We need to talk trash. Thank you.
I'd expect to talk nothing but trash with the trash queen. So thank you, Rita. Thank you. I hope you're doing better.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
So much. All right. Anyone else that's online that would like to address the committee? Going once, going twice. Hey, Mike, did you have anything you wanted to bring to us today? Okay, sure. All right. Thank you for coming and sitting through. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Foster, and I know Councilor Halverson was with us for quite a while. We closed the meeting out at 5:50 p.m. Thank you all.
Juan, could you lock it up? I got to go sign up a cheerleader for 6 o'clock.
This conference will now be recorded.
We need to make